All right, let's go back and look at the endings of the present tense verbs. This is the present tense, and the present tense in Greek indicates action going on at the present time if it's the indicative mood. But it stresses most of the stress is in the kind of action. The Greek verb tense is time is only incidental, and time only goes with either the context or with the indicative mood. Other moods such as imperative and subjunctive mood and optative mood do not have time in them except from context. And so our word here, the verb, takes a stem. So we have a stem, and I've highlighted it here on the screen. Lu, lambda upsilon, lu, and that's your stem. And then the ending here is o, omega, luo, luo. It's two syllables, luo. And so that is the part that I've highlighted here. The omega is basically a pronoun, and it's the first person pronoun, I loose. That's how that would be translated. That word could make a whole sentence. A word like this, a Greek verb, carries its own subject, and it with a pronoun at the end, and it has action of verb. So a subject and a verb can make a complete sentence. Now then, they take that same stem. We go back and review this. Take that same stem here, and it's just kind of a pain. It's getting our basic stem, lu, and we change the ending on it now to ace. And this epsilon iota is a diphthong. It has the sound of EIs in rain, like REIGN, reign of a king, or reign of horses, a reign on a horse. And so this is luace, luace. And so now the verb now is you loose, singular, you singular loose, L-O-O-S-E. Underneath it, down below, we have lu again. And so we have lu. So we take lu. I hit the wrong word. Lu again, or stem. We change the ending to a, and lue, and that is he, she, or it looses. Now, we don't know whether it's he, she, or it. We have to derive that from the context. But it's the third person singular pronoun. Come over here to this ending. We have lu again, or stem. And if we take the ending of it, omen, the omen ending is first person plural. We loose. And so it would be plural, we loose. Go down below. Go again. And that's your stem. And the ete ending is second person plural. You all, or we could make it you all, good Southern English, you all loose, or you loose, you plural loose. Okay? And again, we have the basic stem and just change the ending of it. And then again, we take lu again, our basic stem, and we have the usi ending, and luusi, they lose. Again, they has to be derived from the context, of course. Okay. Any questions so far? All right. Now we take our basic stem again. We go here, lu, and then we add the ending here, luain, epsilon iota nu. And luain is an infinitive. Present infinitive, to be loosing or to loose. Could be either. To be loosing or to loose. Are there questions? All right. Now then, here's your basic pattern down below. These are your endings of the verbs that you'll see in the present indicative and active voice format. All right. So the formation luo, and this luo becomes a pattern for a lot of our verbs. Luo, it's a short word, and they use it. The luo stem, the lu, the stem is unchanged, but a connecting vowel, or omicron or an epsilon is placed in before an omicron before a mu or a nu. It's called a thematic vowel. And the set of endings clearly seen in min and te and the plural of the plural endings. These are called personal endings. My understanding is that these originally come from old pronouns. So we have the ending o, ace, a, that's first, second, third person, oace, a. Over here we have omen, ete, usi. Oace, omen, ete, usi. Now all we got to do is take a verb and change the endings, and we can make it with this pattern. We can make first, second, third person plural or singular, singular, plural, and we can have the infinitive with the ain ending, right? So that's infinitive, present infinitive.
Brother?
Question?
So this only works with omega verbs, right?
Yes.
What percentage of
omega verbs? Okay. Yes. Okay.
Are the large majority of the verbs omega verbs, or?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Probably, I'd say probably 2/3 are.
Okay.
Just guessing. Okay. Now here's an omega verb right here. We have ago. Notice it's two syllables, two vowels, ago. And all we got to do is change that ending, and I'll leave a pattern above here. Agace, and agace. If we change it to ace, we drop the omega, go up here to the pattern, drop the omega, we can make this agace. So if we add that ace ending to it, we will change it to U singular lead, L-E-A-D. Or if we wanted to make it second person plural, we just add ete to it up here where my cursor is moving around. We drop the omega off and put ete, and that would make it second person plural. You all lead. Okay? And so we have other verbs that we would have here. What is this right here? This is age, so it comes to be what person here? My cursor is on it up above. First, second, third person, singular. So it's third person singular. This ending here is from ago, third person singular. He leads. Okay? Now, look at the omen ending right down here on this word. And it's lego. It's I speak. I speak. One of our verbs it's found quite a lot in the New Testament. I speak. But here, the omen ending, notice the ending that we have. I'll highlight it now. The omen ending corresponds up here, up above where my mouse is moving around. That's first person plural. So that would be we speak. Any questions? Now, how would you make it you all, you plural speak? What would you change? Take the basic stem leg, L-E-G, lambda, epsilon, gamma, and put an ete ending on it, right here, this ending. Or if you wanted to make it they speak, you put the usi ending on it. So you see the pattern? It's pretty useful pattern for us. Okay. Any comments? Okay. Now, So we have now legoman, lego, legase, legay, legoman, legete, legusi. That would be, this would be, lego would be I speak, legase would be you singular speak, legay would be he, she, or it speaks, and legoman, which is what we have here, is plural, we speak. Change the omen right here to an ete, change this omen to an ete. It would be you speak, you plural speak. Change the omen to an usi, usi, see a diphthong, usi, and that would be legusi. That would be they speak. Any questions? Buddy. Christos, genoske. That's Christos, genoske, where my mouse is moving. Notice the accents on the Omicron, Christos, genoske, raise it up a little bit over the omega. So we have Christos, 2 syllables, 2 vowels. Genoske, the epsilon iota is a diphthong, so it's treated like 1 syllable, it gets 1 syllable. So we have 3 syllables, genoske, genoske. We put the accent on the omega. Genoske, Christos, genoske. Now then notice the epsilon iota ending, that goes with what person? Notice my mouse moved up to the top. Someone help me. What person is that? Anybody? Paul, what person is that?
Third person singular.
Third person singular. So that is Christ, Christos, he knows. That would be literal translation. Christ, he knows. But if not good in English, we wouldn't put the he on there. We'd just say Christ knows. But it's saying Christ, he knows is literal. Okay? And another difference from English to Greek is that we only have one form of the progressive present. I am loosing. The emphatic present, I do loose, and the regular present, I loose. It's always possible in a given context for the translation to be any one of these 3. So again, we have a difference here in the progressive and the emphatic present and the regular present. We have to derive that from context. So when we translate from Greek to English. Any questions? Okay. So this is your basic pattern. You need to keep that pattern handy, be using it. The infinitive, the present active infinitive, is formed by adding the ein, epsilon iota nu, right here where my mouse is moving around, to the stem of the present tense. And so right here we have ago. If I wanted to make it an infinitive, I would put og and I'd drop the omega. I'd put ein ending, this epsilon iota nu, again. So we'd have that ending. That would be the ending. Drop this omega and put this ending right here. Again. That would be to loose, or to lead, I'm sorry, to lead. This is, ago is to lead. I lead. Ago is I lead. Again is to lead, it's an infinitive. All right, we have now ego. Ego is and our English word ego comes from it. So let me move this down just a little bit. Again, just a little. It's kind of things on here for me. All right. We take this basic pattern. We have ago, and let's go through and conjugate it. Ago, agase, agay, aguman, agusi, agete, agusi. O, ace, a, omanete, usi. O, ago, agase, agay. That'd be first, second, third person. First person plural would be agoman, and then agete and agusi would be your first, second, third person. It's plural. And now akuo, and that's I hear. We drop the omega and put omeneteusi, OSA, omeneteusi, those three forms on it to make it singular plural. Now, if I want to make this first person plural, I would change that omega there to, let's look at it up here, to omen, the omen ending. A pattern would be here. Let me get back here. I rolled it too far.
Hey, brother, real quick, while you're scrolling, if you don't mind.
Yes.
So at the end of 7, sorry, I'm going back. I had to collect my thoughts on it. So if I were to say like Lego, that means I speak, I am speaking, and I do speak. It can mean all three of those.
It would do all three, and we have to determine which one it is by context.
Okay, so context determines. Okay, thank you.
That's how we'd have to determine it when we translate to English. But here's your basic endings here. So let me go back up just a little. Those are your endings, and you need to kind of keep those endings here handy. Those endings right in here, this area here. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to those. You might want to write them down as a pattern, or at least have them handy so you can see them. Now, if I had to make this in the first person plural, I would drop that omega. This is akuo, so it's 3 syllables. Akuo, akuo, akuo. That emphasis on the diphthong. The Omicron upsilon is a diphthong, so it's treated like one syllable. It just gets one syllable. It's got a single vowel sound, oo, akuo. We drop the omega ending, that's first person singular. If we want to make it third person singular, the omega will become epsilon iota, and that would be he hears, or she, or it hears. And so we'd make that third person singular. If we want to make it second person singular, the omega will become epsilon iota sigma, ace, kuace, you hear. How would we end it if we wanted the third person plural? What ending would we have? Well, it's the usi ending that we had up above. Let's go back up and look at it.
So would it be aku-usi or akusi?
Akusi. Akusi. And so that would be akusi. This ending on it, drop the omega off, put this ending right there. All right, that's what we do. Now our next word is balo. We've already talked about these words. Balo. Notice the 2 lambdas, you'll break them and they'll be in 2 separate syllables. That's our rule. Balo, I throw, and our word ball and ballistics and so forth come from this. And so to cast or thrust something, and or to throw, cast, or thrust something. And we drop the omega and just change it to O-A-S-A, omeneteusi. Those are your 6 forms that we have here. So all we got to do is just change that ending. And it's pretty simple once you learn the rules. That's I throw. If you want, how would you say it? What ending would you use if you wanted to say you plural, throw? Drop the omega and put what? Be the ete ending, the ete ending, okay? Epsilon, ta, epsilon. Paulete. You plural, throw or thrust. All right? We have another word, blepo, 2 syllables, blepo, blepo. And so we drop the omega and change it to OSA, omeneteusi, those 6 forms, and we can make it, we can inflect it. All we got to do is just drop that omega. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Pretty easy once you learn the rules. Any question? I'm gonna come down and do some translating down here in just a little bit. Gnosko. I'll assign some for you. I know I realize I learned. Now, this is the Greek. I think it's in about page 10 in our book here. Pretty quickly, we'll introduce some prepositions. Greek will take a verb and introduce a preposition or attach a preposition to the beginning of the verb. And preposition, see, it's always going to be on the beginning of the verb. And that will heighten its meaning. And so gnosko is a verb meaning to know. I know. That's why that's translated. I know. But there's different kinds of knowledge. I can have elementary or more thorough knowledge. And so this is kind of rudimentary knowledge, elementary knowledge, whereas they'll add the preposition epi, and it's come into our English language, epi, epilogue, and so forth, epidermis. And so it's come into the English language, epi has, it means upon. And so this would be knowledge upon knowledge, and that would be epignosko. Epignosko would be fuller knowledge. So this is more rudimentary knowledge. I know, I realize, I learned. We'll add those compound words later with the prepositions on. We got to introduce the prepositions first, okay? Gnosko. Now, if I wanted to say they know, I would say gnoskusi. I would drop the omega right here, kusi on it. And that would be, well, I'll do it right here. Ending right there. Gnoskusi. Change that font. Yeah, lovely. I'll change the font here just one time, show you we can do it. You change the font into symbol font, and that'll make it into a Greek symbol. If I can get it to change. It won't click on it. There it is. Now that'll do it. There it is. There it is. Gnoskusi. See right there? You want to see that? Now that would be third person plural. All right. I'm going to go back and get rid of it. Yeah, I messed it up now. Okay. I just won't save it. I'll ignore it right now. I'm having trouble getting it to undo it. Grapho, and our word graphics comes from this. And again, just change the omega at the ending and put these other forms into it. Grapho. This will be I write. Here's a word that's found many, many, many times in the New Testament. This is it's post-positive, so it never begins a sentence. We talked about that last week. It's the word they. It means and or but. It has a different meaning than kai, which is another word we'll introduce later. Kai. Ego is a pronoun I. It's a first person pronoun I. Our word ego, English ego, comes from this word. Okay. Eurisco. And again, we just change omega into these basic forms, and we can get I find, you find, he finds, she finds, she, he, or it finds. Any questions? Everyone see the pattern? Okay. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to go down here to text B, and I'm going to let you translate text A and try to work it out for next week right here, this text. I'm going to go down to text B and work on it with us, okay? Now we have here echo, I have, and I remember that in my memory hook, you speak into a canyon, you echo it back, you have the sound back. So it's I have, or I get, or I hold. Here's another word right here, thelo. That's I wish, I desire something, right? We'll come back to that word and some synonyms with it later. We won't look at it right now, but we'll do it later as we develop this. And some another word that's a synonym for it. E-A-sus. 3 syllables. E, iota, A, eta, sus. That's a diphthong. Jesus, Jesus. And our Spanish word for Jesus is Jesus. And it almost sounds like this. Jesus, Jesus. Kai, this word is found, day and Kai are found on almost every page of the New Testament. These words are. This is a word that joins two things that are equal in rank. Repent and be baptized, they're both equal in rank. Believe and be baptized, they're both equal in rank. It's a conjunction. So it takes things that are equal in rank and joins them. Lambano, 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 lambano. I take or I receive. Now we talked about that, change the omega. You can make it he takes, and he, she, or it takes. Like lambane, lambanes would be you singular take. Lambanete, omen eteusi, lambanete would be second person plural, you take, you plural. Lambanomen is we take. Lambanusi, change the omega to an usi, and that will be they take or receive. Luo, we've already had that. Oo, there are two words for not or no in Greek. And whereas we have one in English, we inflect it by the tone of voice or by our facial features and so forth, but Greek had two words. Oo is a denial of a fact. This word here is oo, just oo, and it's not or no. And it, like our English word, we don't say a apple, we say an apple, we put an N on it. So it's kind of hard to pronounce it otherwise. So sometimes oo gets a kappa or a key if it's before a vowel or a diphthong. If it's before a rough breathing, which we'll get to later, it'll have a C, key, it'll have a key. So those are your forms, but that's still the same word. Just like a apple or an apple, a horse, we don't put the N on there because they don't have a vowel at the beginning of the next word. So a vowel, before a vowel, we'd just put a kappa there, Greek well. Sometimes they put a nu in some words as well. They wouldn't put a nu on this because Omicron epsilon nu is a word, it's a separate word. That's probably why they don't do it here. They use a kappa. Sozo, sozo. So it's two syllables. Sozo, I say or I heal. It could be either. We've had Lego, I speak. And then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to read these right here for you so you can kind of hear them. And then I want you to translate everything that I've highlighted here for next week. Try to work on that and come up with it and see what you get with that right there. Okay? Do this. Come back down. Jesus, Tele, Sozain. Jesus, Tele, Sozain. That's the first three words. Second two words. No, let's think second five words. So I'll highlight it. Let me highlight it so you can see what I'm looking at here. I like these words. I hope you can still read them with my highlighting. Jesus lege ego de akuo. Jesus lege ego de akuo. Okay, that's Jesus. Okay, I'll let you translate that later. I'm sorry. All right. Akues, u de genoskes. Genoskes. Akues, u de genoskes. That's how that would read. Thelo gnoskane. Thelo gnoskane. All right. Over here. Kuusi kai gnoskusi. Kuusi kai gnoskusi. Right? Akuomen kai blepomen. Akuomen kai blepomen. Okay. Blepe ude gnoske. Blepe ude gnoske. Okay. Any questions? Utele akuane. Utele akuane. Okay. Now, as I said a little bit earlier, there are two Greek words for not. This denies the fact. It goes with the indicative mood. I could say this I'm touching now is not an automobile, it's a computer, say. And so it's not a horse, it's a computer or something like that. That just denies the fact. There's another word for not or no that goes with commandments and things. It deals with the will of the mind. Okay, we'll get to the distinction later. Right? Now, akuete kai lambanete. Akuete kai lambanete. Akuete kai lambanete. Okay? I want you to notice that this ending, this is something right here, that's a semicolon in English. But the semicolon in English is a question mark in Greek. So that's a question mark, so that should be worded as a question. So when you get to it, be sure to notice a question. Sometimes, whether it's a question or not, becomes a matter of contextual discussion. But there are some words that will definitely tell you got a question. So sometimes we don't know whether we do, and other times we do know, but because we may have the word what or when or something like that, right? Thelomen gnoskane kai lambanane. Thelomen gnoskane kai lambanane. Right? Again, that's just got a simple period after it. Jesus soze. Jesus soze. Right? Our last one. Uk akue kai labane. Uk akue kai labane. Okay. Right? Any questions? No. Let's come down here and we'll translate and we'll work together on this. There we are. Make it 2 or 3 times. Let's come down to this one right here. Lege is I say, and so we just got I say there. Lege. Is I say again. But the difference in it is when you have the pronoun with it too, because the verb already has a pronoun, you got the pronoun twice. So when the pronoun is there twice, that becomes emphatic. And the Greek scholars tell us this, so it's not just my saying, okay? So you got I say, but that wouldn't be good English. So you just say I say. Now, there's some forms that are even really emphatic, and we'll get to those later. Jesus lege, what I've got highlighted, Jesus lege, Jesus says, literally Jesus, he says. The A in epsilon iota is third person singular. Jesus, he says, or we just translated Jesus says, right? Lege, lege, not he says, OA be third person singular, not he says, not she says, not it says, probably he or she, depending on context. He does not say. We can say that there. We can make it emphatic there, depending on how you translate it. He does not say, right? Or she does not say.
So it wouldn't be,
Sorry,
it doesn't say?
Sorry, I was talking. I should have been listening. Go ahead and repeat, please.
So it wouldn't be, it doesn't say? You said
It
it's,
could be say, it could be it does not say, yes.
okay.
And you could be talking about the scriptures, see, the scriptures do not say such and such. See, that would be context. You'd have to go by the context to see what it is.
Okay, gotcha.
Good point. Thank you for making it. Thank you. Any other questions? Jesus lege. Jesus does not say. That's kind of emphatic, or Jesus does not say. It may be translated Jesus says not by the King James Version, but that would be does not say would be good modern English that we might have. Right? Sure. Oh, ekane. Notice the ending here is an infinitive now. I will, I desire to have. Echo is have. Ekane is to have. I desire to have. Okay? Everybody, I want you to kind of get where you get into the hang of it here. Delays, say, that'd be second person. Delays, you risk gain. Again, this is second person. You will or you desire to have. You risk gain. That's an infinitive, to have. Present infinitive, to continually have, see. Legain. Again, we've got the infinitives in all on this line. Delay, say, that's third person singular. He, she, or it wills to speak. Legain is from lego, to speak, I speak. He wills, he desires to speak. Someone could desire to have spoken to the Lord, for example. As we develop this material in this book, we're going to see what we run into is that frequently later in the book, he'll actually have scripture that we'll be translating. I'm going to get enough background to be able to translate it. So we'll actually be translating scripture. The Omen akuain, Omen etiusi, that will be we wish to hear from akuain. All right, let's go down to the next line. We're going to get omen etiusi, that's first person plural. We take or we receive. Again, since it's active voice, I'll translate it as to take. I think the receive should go probably with the passive voice. So that would be lambonomen, we receive or we take. Okay. Now the next word. We write. Graphomen. Genostomen. We know. Flapomen. Oh, we see. Woman, we hear. We throw. One more line before we close the class. Ambano is I take or receive. Omen ete, second person plural. You take or you receive. Ete, you plural take or you write. Or write, you plural write. Okay. Poskete, you plural know. Flepet, plural see. Akuete, you plural hear. Ballete, you plural throw. I'm going to try to get all of them here. Okay. Akue, OSA, OSA. This is second person singular. Akues, you hear. You do not receive. You do not take or you do not receive. Okay. Kuusi, I'm going to add to usi, that's third person plural. Kuusi, they hear. A little bit lengthier here. Who, Lucy, Lambane, who's the Lucy, Lambane. They do not wish to take. They do not desire to take. Okay. Oske, OSA, third person singular. He, she, or it knows. Okay. Ugonoskete, Onete, that's second person plural. But notice the question mark. Do you not know? Do you not know? Okay. Ego gnosko. Ego gnosko. Ego gnosko is I know, but it's emphatic. I know. See. Gnoskusi. Ude gnoskusi. And that's but I do not, they do not know, but they do not know. Actually, this was part of this prior sentence. This dot up above is like a semicolon or a comma. Okay. All right, so we'll go on. Do this. Notice it has a semicolon at the end, which means it's a question. In those case, OSA, second person singular. OSA, omenetusi, that's your basic forms, your endings. So, in those case, and that's you, do you know? You know. And it's got to be a question, so we'd frame it as do you know? Okay. Any questions? Anybody? Okay, I want you to work on this lesson right here, try to translate this, and we'll go through it next week. Go through this. Then we'll go into the next lesson, which will be nouns. We'll be introducing nouns. So I want to give you that right quick, and we'll go into that. We'll start with nouns. We have verbs, now we have nouns. And pretty soon we'll get into some prepositions. We get adjectives and other parts of speech. Right? Any questions?